What's up, guys? My name is Eric, and this is how I was most recently diagnosed with PTSD and what it was from. I'm not a first responder and I'm not military, yet I am diagnosed with PTSD. So it's not something that's just off for military and for police and for first responders. PTSD can affect a lot of different people out there. Now, again, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a therapist, I'm not a counselor, I'm none of that. My name is Eric. I'm diagnosed with ADHD, PTSD, GAD, and MDD. And also a recovering cocaine addict, along with an alcoholic addict. I lost my wife and my father to suicide also. My PTSD, this latest diagnosis when I got diagnosed with a different trigger also on PTSD, was from my dad's suicide. In 2017, my dad committed suicide, and he committed suicide in his automobile. When you commit suicide, they do an autopsy on you to make sure that it wasn't foul play, any of that. And since it was in his car was impounded. They did release the car. Now, my dad committed suicide in the car, so my dad did bleed out. The car was held for a while. When it was released to us, my mom wanted the car back. She wanted this car back. She wanted this car back, and I get it. My mom was going through a lot at that time even too. And my sister-in-law did an amazing job. Just told my mom, there's a little bit of blood in the car. You don't want it back yet. When I was up there for it, my mom finally said, you know what, go check it out and tell me if I can see it. Because my sister-in-law was very, very adamant that my mom didn't see it. I've already experienced the suicide up at this point. I lost my wife in 2015 to suicide. So I go with my sister-in-law up to the car. And my dad had different things on him that were special. He had a watch, he had his rings, he had his necklace. So we get up to the car and it is a blanket over it. So my sister-in-law even warns me, and we open up the door and I'm like, how bad is it? And she pulls it and it's a lot of blood. I mean, it was not a spot of blood, it was a lot of blood. So, okay, now the car had sat for a couple days, and this is in August. So blood has an iron smell to it, and that smell is what my trigger is. That smell makes me flash back and recall all of this. I mean, I'm in that moment. I'm shaking. I'm really losing it when I get into one of those flashback moments. I went around to the other side of the car though, opened that up, and we started, because if I didn't come back with my mom would be like, what the hell? Started pulling out his rings, and some of it was covered in blood. I mean, one of the things I pulled out, it's really funny, my dad was a doctor, and he just, for whatever reason, liked this watch. And it's nothing special, it's a Fossil watch. It's a simple Fossil watch. I gotta get the battery changed, and I've worn it a lot. But I had to pull this out, pulled out his rings, pulled out his necklace. And it's a surreal experience when that's your dad. Like, your dad's last moments were in this car. And that is what gets ingrained into your brain. I mean, I can recall clear as day just walking up to the back of the car. I can even recall pulling up to my brother's house and seeing his Cadillac over there, and we park. I remember the walk up with my sister-in-law, and she just kept saying, are you sure you want to do this? Are you sure you want to do this? Like, yeah, to walking up to the car and kind of just like this weird warm feeling in my stomach and in my chest and on my body, to looking through the back window as we're getting closer, and there's a blanket over the driver's seat. It was a blue blanket, and seeing where the seat and the top of the seat and the bottom of the seat hit where it reclines, seeing red dripping down, like it was all red in there, like soaked, and knowing that had to be blood, to looking on the floor mat, he had these black like rubber floor mats, and seeing a puddle of blood in there, to opening up the door and just that initial just whoosh of this iron smell, of this strong stagnant iron smell just filling my nose and like engulfing me, opening up that door, just having her pull off that blanket and just seeing the whole seat was covered in blood. There was blood up onto the side. There was blood all over the dash and on the floor and on the roof, and in the cup holders there's a lot of blood. And seeing in the cup holders that there's a ring in there that we need to get out to over on the passenger seat, he had went to Walmart before he took his life and got a paring knife, to holding that receipt, to the packaging of the paring knife, to the Walmart bag, to on the floor where I could tell that my dad got upset and he wasn't in a good place, and he's throwing his shit on the passenger side of the floor, just getting it off because he already knew what he was going to do, to picking those ups and holding those and just staring at that driver's seat from the passenger seat side, and just imagining my dad there just crying, and just like, he knew what he was going to do. He wanted that pain to stop. I mean, this isn't even a flashback. This is just me recalling it. I mean, my flashbacks are about 100 times worse than this. But that's how real the PTSD flashbacks are. And that's a lot of times what people don't understand is what a flashback is. It's not violence. It's not any of that. It's a lot of guilt. It's this memory that it doesn't let go of you. It's not you letting go of the memory. It's getting the memory to let go of you, and to be able to move past that, to being able to work through, that, to the understanding even with me that, there's nothing I could do. There's nothing I could have changed, because if I live in that past, all it's going to do is hold on to that memory more. And what I found is the more that I share about it, the more that I'm empowered by it, and that memory doesn't own me, and that I start to own and control that memory myself, that I use it to empower myself, to have a voice, to be able to share, to let people know how much they matter. PTSD is one of those that it's not all about just fireworks. It's not about all just slamming doors. I mean, it's different for everyone. And that's the thing that you want to know. I mean, if you do have PTSD, we're responsible for our triggers. Nobody's responsible. I mean, my trigger is the smell of blood. How can anybody be responsible for that trigger? Somebody cuts their arm open. Like, the sight of blood doesn't bother me. It's that smell that hits me like a fucking brick, and I'm just, boom, I'm there. Somebody cuts themselves. It's not their fault. It's my fault for how do I handle this situation. Just like when it comes to with anyone, I'm a firm believer that you are responsible for your triggers and for your boundaries. If you don't vocalize and let people know what your triggers are. That's why, I mean, even with the 4th of July, I always say this, I mean, the veterans, a lot of them put signs out front saying, if veteran lives here, please be courteous and kind with your fireworks, loud noises. If it's slamming the door, some people, it's just a touch, you touch them in the wrong place, and it's that shake, it's that brought on of emotions. So you have to remember that PTSD is different for everybody. I just wanted to share kind of what my triggers and how I'm diagnosed with PTSD and what it does to me. I mean, this is because of what my PTSD here is from. It's not something that if I was a first responder, I would be doing EMDR therapy. I could tell you that right now, like trial and error with that. But I don't run across blood very often. This has only happened a handful of times. And again, this is now almost 3 years ago that it happened. So it's not one of those things that I've taken the time to really go do EMDR therapy. And that was my choice. Because I know how odd and unique my trigger for this is. And the only reason I even found out about this is I talked to my therapist about it, because I ended up having a flashback going, oh my fucking God. Shaking, I mean, all that, we started really kind of working through it. And he goes, yeah, that's kind of what it is, Okay. But it is a battle. I mean, for anybody out there struggling and battling with PTSD, I mean, get with a therapist, get help. There is help for you out there. EMDR therapy, CBT therapy, there's different types. I mean, working through that, getting to empower yourself instead of being a prisoner to your PTSD, it's huge. And it does change your life. It does make life a lot easier. If you haven't hit the like and subscribe button, hit the like and subscribe button, comment down below. In the description, I have links to all my different social media. I even have links to things on Amazon that I use for anxiety, like fidget cubes, fidget spinners. Even have a link down below to the mental health community on Discord. It's peer-to-peer support, bridging the gap between therapists and a crisis hotline, that in between of all the experiences and resources and tools that we can share. Even have a link down below to BetterHelp. It's trial and error to find out what works for you. And therapy is huge. Therapy helps us work through what we're going through. Coping techniques are great, but coping techniques are like patching a flat tire. It doesn't solve the problem, but it gets you through the shit when it gets real. So try therapy, in person, psychologist, psychiatrist, whatever it takes to find what works for you. Because you're a BAMF, you're a badass motherfucker. You've made it through 100% of your worst days to make it through 2 today. and you got this.